Good morning. I had some music. I don't know what happened to it. Um, Good morning, everybody. Everybody. I am here looking crazy. I'm giving you old lady realness today. I don't know. I found this scarf and it just brings me so much joy. But I want a little lift right now to help us get started this morning because I had a crazy night. It wasn't even a crazy night. I'm lying. I just was up really, really late. So we're just gonna have a little Janet to lift us. And if you know what she's saying, I'm gonna send you some moolah. This is my connection this week, so we're gonna press through because I don't know what else to do. Um, doesn't matter if you're feeling ill, you. Doesn't matter if you're on it ain't too. All it matters that I'm in love with you. It only matters that you're in love with me. It doesn't matter if they won't accept you. I guess I know more words than I realized. You should do just as long as I'm with you. Nobody but you, by me, baby. Your love for you, unconditional love too. Sing along if you know it. Come on, get up and show you that it doesn't really matter what the eye is seeing, cause I'm in love with the inner being. Doesn't really matter what they believe. What matters to me is you're in love with me. Doesn't really matter what the eye is seeing, cause I'm in love with the inner being. Now I have a question about this. Do people ever say that to pretty people? Like, you think someone says to like Naomi Campbell, like, I don't even care what you look like. I'm in love with you on the inside. So if anybody ever tells me that, I'm gonna feel real ugly because I don't think they say that to pretty people. But I digress. So what are we talking about? We have to try to keep it grown up a little bit and talk about what's happening in the world. I send my prayers out to all those in Turkey, the friends and family, and just the whole nation to deal with that foolishness. What I want to know is if any of you guys out there are if any of you guys, I'll give you a call later today, Charles, actually. If any of you guys out there are jihadists, I want you to just call in. Let me know why you want to blow up stuff because I just don't understand. And I'm one. I don't believe that I need to understand everything. Like some stuff you just accept, but that's something I need to understand because I just don't get it. Why do we have to do that to each other? Technology is failing me. I'm trying to get to a bigger network, but right now we work with what we have. I just don't understand that. Darcy, you thought she was saying because she's in love with the enemy. The lyric is doesn't really matter what the eye is seeing because I'm in love with the inner being. Doesn't really matter what they believe. What matters to me is you're in love with me. Doesn't really matter what the eye is seeing because I'm in love with the inner being. Doesn't really matter what they. I don't know. 90 for me. The enemy? That's so weird. But Janet Jackson, no one ever knows what she's saying. So yeah, we definitely want to send our condolences out to the great nation of Turkey and everything that they're dealing with. What you probably see that I call this World War III is because I think that that is upon us. It's just everybody just hates each other. Everybody is just fighting and blowing shit up. It's not a good time. But yet it's a crazy, what a time to be alive. I feel like we also have the power to make some changes and to really just, hug our neighbors and make something a little different in the world. And then meanwhile, you have this foolishness in Turkey happening. And then the world is supposed to be coming together for this great moment called the Olympics. And you got the damn first responders at the airport talking about welcome to hell, talking about they're going to run out of gas money if they don't get some checks soon. And the checks, it's like a 9-figure sum. So, if you're going to Brazil for the Olympics, good luck. To all of Brazil, I wish you the best of luck. This sounds like it's about to be a shit show. It sounds like it's about to start late, end early. People not gonna have medals. People not gonna have a place to run. I feel like people are just gonna be doing a race around the favela, and they're gonna be like, if you make it out alive, you won. It just sounds like it's just not a good look. I know that Greece had these issues back when they did it in Athens, and other countries have had their complications, but this one just seems particularly complex. And then you add Zika into it. Although somebody just told me that Zika get out your system in 2 weeks, so I'm like, if it's just a bug, I guess if you're having a baby, that's complicated. And have you seen the signs where it's like, how to prevent Zika? Avoid getting bit by mosquitoes. Bitch, is that how it works? Do you like actively try to get bit? Like, are people like, yo, what I want to do tonight? Let me go to the club. Let me get bit by a mosquito. You know what I mean? It's like that is just not cool. So that's my world affairs because you know I am a political analyst, but I do that on my other show. So that's what I want to give you about what's happening in the world. Now for a little fun, BET Awards. I'm late. I know it's Wednesday, and in this 24-hour news cycle world, BET Awards is, you know, it might as well be talking about the Wiz opening on Broadway for the first time. But I want to hear more about this friend with Zika Jasmine, but we'll deal with that later. Um, I watched the BET Awards Greatest Hits, and what I will say is, I mean, Jesse Williams, he's amazing. I'm just so happy that he is out here speaking the truth. And, you know, people are saying, oh, he's leaning into light skin privilege. Absolutely. Because if Idris was talking this, nobody would hear him. Well, he's also not American, so it's a little different. But if Idris was talking this, nobody would hear him. It would be a whole different thing. Jesse Williams, you know, he's handsome, especially in a marketable way, racially ambiguous, light eyes, light skin, and I love the fact that he, you know, he could be set up to be the next biggest thing in Hollywood, and he still can be, but I love that he's not afraid to use his platform in a way that may compromise some opportunities for him, but that allows him to really just speak truth and stay true to who he is and let these people know what's going on in this world because, you know, it's not right, and it's going to take more people like him who are primed and have that platform to just get up there and say, you know what, fuck it, I have to speak truth to power because this is just some foolishness. So I appreciate that. As some of you have seen people going around the Facebook talking about Facebook don't like black people, they trying to take his thing down. I have on good authority that it's not Facebook, it's actually BET, most likely, or Viacom, who owns BET, trying to take it down just because they want you to watch it on their platforms because they want that money, which is still kind of unfortunate that everything is so heavily influenced by the dollar. But you know, even here at Wake Up with WBM, we have sponsors that we're obligated to. We have certain things that we have to do to make sure we're able to bring a show to you. That's why that's why we were not on the air yesterday. The network is trying something out. They wanted to try me out 3 days a week. Don't worry, it doesn't change how I feel about you guys. And we're still gonna be here, you know, write in. So you have to write in, call your congressman and let them know that you want more, and the network will do what the people want. But he's very attractive, light or not light. People tend to listen to pretty people. Yes, that's true, but there is something to be said for a person who has a universal appeal. Universal appeal. There's something to be said for a person who, you know, can speak to a multi-ethnic identity and can transcend race in a way that, you know, a darker person, a broader nosed person might not be able to. I love all God's children. Black is black is black. So I'm not saying that to discredit his blackness or his authority. I actually think that it's brilliant that it's him. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do to get the job done. I feel like, hey, if that's what it takes, then brother, go forth and speak on it. Now, what I did watch, so of course we saw Jesse. I saw also the Sheila E. performance, which I was like, is that a Prince tribute, or was Sheila E. just like, you know what, I just need to get back out here and do it. Like, I need a gig. And yeah, I'm not mad because I've always stand for Sheila E. As I will say all the time, I'm a feminist. I love women. I love badass women. I love women that are super smart. I love women that are super fierce. My hand is shaking so much because I'm like, need to eat something. I love women that are super fierce, and Sheila E. is all of those things. You know, she's a drummer. She kicks ass on the drums. Like, there's one time I saw this video of her. She's like in a fur coat with a gown and heels, drumming her ass off, just slaying it. And I just wanted to enjoy that performance, which I did. I want them to take that show on the road now. Like, I need to see that. Like, I want to be in the theater at Madison Square Garden, because I don't know if they could play Madison Square Garden, but like the theater at Madison Square Garden with me and like aunties and uncles in a white linen suit, which I now own one because it's a damn white party I had to go to, in my white linen suit, you know what I mean? Just like two-stepping and just living it and just... Like, that's what I want. I want Glamorous Life. I want all of those Prince songs. And I just want to have that great moment. And I think that it would be so lit. And I hope that they can take it on the road. Now, as for how much money they're going to make all them damn people on stage, that's between them and their promoter. As for what that rider's going to look like, as for what the dressing room situation is going to be, that's between them and their promoter. They might just be on the bus, getting ready, and then just walking in there and doing it. But like Sheila E. on Ice, I'm here for it. Then there was the other tribute that I saw. I didn't see everything. The other tribute I saw, which was Stevie Wonder, like, so I love Stevie, and I think he is one of our greatest gifts, one of the greatest musical gifts the universe has given us. I want Stevie to feel the same way about Stevie and just stop. I mean, Prince is definitely warranted. Like, this isn't a bad example of it. But because he just does so many tributes, I feel like it cheapens his tribute. It's like, it's no longer an honor to have Stevie tribute you, but if he doesn't tribute you, you should feel disrespected. Like, damn. He's like the Samuel L. Jackson of tributes. And it's like, if you can't get Stevie Wonder for your tribute, then who are you? You don't matter. Because I feel like he's tributed, like, everybody. Like, I think he tributed the guy that just died from that movie who got killed by his mailbox. I think Stevie Wonder tributed him. So, I don't know. But anyway, him and then Tori Kelly, which I was very confused. I mean, she has a sweet sound. Like, I enjoy her music. Usually don't find it on BET. I'm usually listening to it on maybe like Z100. It should have been us. Should have been us. Should have been a It should have been us. I don't know the words to that either. I hope that's her song because I'm over here misquoting stuff. But I don't understand how she got a ticket. But I was like, okay, girl, show play your purple guitar. Good for it. Now, some of you who are new to this party, you don't know how I feel about a one Jennifer Hudson, a one Miss Jennifer Hudson. She causes me much stress. This performance did not change that. She did sing great. She took us to church. Why was she wearing Grace Jones's old costume? I want to know. Like, you lose a little weight, and now you're just like, let me just raid all the old stars things. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jasmine Sullivan is shopping in Shaka Khan's closet. Now you shopping in Grace Jones' closet, but that's not really your ministry. Like, you're not a Grace Jones kind of girl. Like, Jennifer Hudson, I feel like her swag is so not fashiony that I just want to see her every time in, like, a black suit with, you know, a cami and a statement necklace and just call it a day. Because, no, nobody loved no Jennifer when I was younger. I enjoyed Dreamgirls when it first came out. Then I saw it again and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was drunk. But Prince wore that too. Oh, he did wear the hood. You're right. But he did wear the hood. But it just on her, it just, because I don't like her, it was just like very Grace Jones-y. But he did have a hood moment. Maybe him and Grace Jones made it together. You know, they are contemporaries. But yeah, but she did sing her face off, and she always does, and she always gave you that one note that if you don't, if she doesn't give us that, then I don't believe it was really Jennifer Hudson. That note, and it's like it's becoming a little predictable because I knew exactly when she was going to hit it in this performance, and I was like, girl, I want a little more from you with that, but she did sing well, and I can't take that from her. I just wish that she didn't. Yeah, so then that was that. Speaking of tributes, what was painfully missing BET, and I'm mad that the streets aren't talking more about this, is where was see, Shawnee, this is why people get blocked, because they be telling all your business in the comments. Where was the Natalie Cole tribute? Because it wasn't at the Grammys. It wasn't at the American Music Awards. It wasn't at the Billboard Awards. So I just knew it was going to be at the BET Awards. Like, Natalie Cole was an icon. She was a legend. She had a very broad and robust career. She gave you jazz. She gave you R&B. She gave you standards. I guess that's just more jazz. But she gave you a lot of different things. She gave you hits. She gave you the theme song to eHarmony. Motherfuckers is married out here because of Natalie Cole. The least I could have done is brought that white guy from eHarmony out and been like, whatever his little slogan is, to just tribute her. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like who could have done a good Natalie Cole tribute? And it could have been, I get that Prince is Prince, you know what I mean? And it was sudden, and Natalie Cole had been strung out, and, you know, so it was like, there was a certain amount of borrowed timedness that she was on, and just every day was a blessing. And, you know, she'd had the hep C and she'd been ill for a while, so this didn't catch us in the same way Prince caught us, because we were aware of her illnesses. But she still deserved a tribute. And I'm trying to think who could have done a mean Natalie Cole tribute. I mean, they could have brought out Esperanza Spalding to give us a little jazz. Mr. Paganini would have you up your sleeve. And if you cannot sing it, you'll simply have to skid a little bit. And Jasmine Sullivan, too, could have given us a little scat moment. But I'm trying to think who has that, like, really sweet tone. Kelly Rowland If she's still, I don't know if she still sings, but if she's still singing, she maybe could have given us something. I think that would have been a cute look for her. Maybe had her little girl group singing "Doo Wop Pop Pop" in the back. But I just was a little disappointed. And he over here talking about Brett said that Alicia Keys looks like Swiss Beats 2.0. Her voice was shit, but she's really in love. You will start looking like your partner. She turned into Swiss. Jeez, Alicia Keys. I don't. I don't really have much to say. I didn't really see the whole show, so I don't really have much to say about her in general. I just want her to get a throat lozenge and a pitch pipe, and I think that she'll be good. Uh, that's what I have to offer with her. This whole no makeup thing, though, I kind of don't like her shaming people who choose to wear makeup because one, you don't know if maybe that person got like bit by a pit bull, and so that's how they feel beautiful. And then two, it's just like with the naturalistas. Oh, look, I didn't turn my phone on silent. It's just like with the naturalistas, who didn't who like to shame girls with relaxers. It's like there's more than one way to be beautiful. And that's the exciting thing about being black, right? Is that you could, I got my little juices and berry curls today. Maybe I want to brush it out and have a deep wave, flip that money 3 ways tomorrow. That you can have those options, and it's not about being like, oh, embrace your da da da, and if you don't, then you hate yourself. Like, no, makeup exists for a reason. Makeup exists for a reason because it makes people feel good. Are you gonna stop wearing clothes now too? You gonna stop wearing drawers and socks? Stop wearing deodorant because you just feel like you should be how you are? No, girl. Put on a nice soft beat and call it a day. I don't know about Alicia Keys' plastic surgery. I'm usually only good at telling like body work. From all my years watching YouTube stuff. We'll also talk more about that. Any pimple poppers out there, we're going to talk about. This is actually a really good angle. Click like if you agree that this is a good angle for me. Because sometimes I feel like my nose can be a little, from the side, it can be a little not as exciting as I'd like it to be. But this is giving you cheekbone. It's giving you a little bit of jawline. I need to stop eating the cookies. But I'm getting into it. We are versatile people. Embrace it all. This must be your first time watching Shanya if you just saw the mug. Um, so that was my thing. And then the last thing I saw from the BET Awards was, thank you for the likes, y'all. I gotta do that so the camera can see my hand. Was La Beyonce et Kendrick Lamar. I think the the tard industry, leotard, unitard, industry owes Beyonce so much because what she has done for the leotard, what she's done for tards, like every time I think that she's maxed out, there's nothing else you could do. She said, I'm about to turn into Jesus fucking Christ with a unitard, with a leotard. And that bitch put that fringe on there. She held them arms out and she said, I'm slain on the cross. I am your martyr today. And I said, you know what? I never knew you could be so deep. And I never knew you could use spandex to tell such a powerful story. And she was hitting those new runs. And I'm a seasonal member. I got a season pass to the Beehive just for summer. And I was like, you know what, mother, you did that. I do think the water is a little First Abruzza-ish. And First Abruzza people was saying that they stole it. But I'm also like, First Abruzza, you don't own a copyright on stomping in water. Like, you just don't. I know you tried, but you don't. But it was a really great performance. And then I just love Kendrick Lamar. Tina and Diana did wear leotards and unitards, but not in the same way. First of all, they wore a lot more variety in their costumes. Diana Ross gave you gowns, she gave you unitards, she gave you furs. Like, Beyonce has a very, very specific aesthetic. Tina Turner had the shimmy dresses. They had their things. But I'm saying, like, Beyonce will do a whole show, 20 costumes, and every single one of them is a leotard or unitard. Like, you ain't never seen Beyonce perform in a skirt. Not since 2004. Like, when's the last time you saw Beyonce perform in a blouse and a skirt? When's the last time you saw Beyonce perform in a sweater set? Not that anybody should perform in a sweater set. But there's like so many different clothes available. When have you seen Beyonce perform with like a nice legging and a flowy top? When's the last time you seen Beyonce perform in anything other than a 2-inch character shoe with the elastic strap over, made of nude elastic to make sure it don't come off? Which is smart. Don't be out here doing too much, falling down. Like, I'm not mad at her for that. But it's like certain things that, she just did. What you snoozing about, Memphis? I'm boring you? Or are you just, like, not interested in Beyonce? Tell the truth. So that's what was, that was my BET Awards for the day. I'm late to the party, I know. What else we got going on? So then I had a somebody sent me something. I have a question for you guys. How much would it take for you, unless you had a question for me about BET Awards, how much would it take for you to go through with the indecent proposal? If you don't remember, it's the film where um, Robert Redford asks Demi Moore's husband, can he sleep with her for $1 million? I've had a very heated debate about this at my book club. My thing is $1 million. Yes, you can do it. You might even be able to do it twice. Um, because I feel like what I can do with that $1 million is we could fix whatever issues are gonna come forth in the marriage. Um, that's me personally. But then I just saw somebody on the Facebook did it sold his wife up for 110,000, and it was just a stranger came up to me in the parking lot, and I think that that's wild. Darcy, you're married. I want to know how much would it take for you to let Rick sleep with somebody else for one night? And we're saying it's just straight up sex, like they're not, there's no dating or anything like that. Like just meet him at the hotel, gets it in, and do that. I want to hear from you guys because, like I said, me $1 million, sure, let's do it. You could pay Sally Mae with that cash. You could buy a house. You could get a good therapist. Um, you could start a business. Like these are all the things you could do. I'm assuming it's tax free because it's prostitution essentially. So I don't see how it would be taxed. You know, it's how much is enough then, Darcy? If $1 million is not enough, how much is enough? I also feel like people saying it's not enough because we sitting here, but $1 million would do it. Oh, $1 million, right? But that 100,000 is not enough. I'm with you on that. It's like I need to know that like our lives would be changed. $100,000 right now will help some things, but it's not going to fundamentally upgrade my whole life situation. It's just going to put some bills at bay, and just be like, whew, pay that off. But like $1 million is when you move to a new. Yes, this is why I love you, Darcy. She said she would divorce her husband if he didn't do it for $1 million. Which um that you know what I mean? I'm looking at Silas judging me. I didn't even know Silas had a phone. I thought he was in China or something. Um, yeah, I feel the same way. $1 million is like a game changer. Like you get $1 million cash, one lump sum. You can do things for your family that you wouldn't have been able to do before. And sometimes you just have to give your body away to make that happen. Um, so yeah, that's how I would do it. So what questions do you guys have for me? I have another question here, but it's very intellectual, and so I'm gonna save that for the next installment on Friday, or maybe another day after that. I'm trying to theme these. I didn't do so well today. Um, we're supposed to talk about my skincare, so I guess I could do that, but we'd have to go to like walk through the dungeon that is the backstage area. As I said before, we didn't get really. There's a few shows that film here, and so we don't have releases from all the crews, and I don't want to have to deal with legal. I told you the network already cut me down to 3 shows this week, so I'm just trying to do what I have to do to stay on the air because everybody ain't able. It is a tough crowd. So how you think I feel? Everybody ain't able, but I did just shave today, so that might be also why I'm glowing. And oh, come on, Karen. And that's the thing too. When people are like, $1 million money, it's that we say I do love motherfuckers out here sleeping with hoes for shoes, for cocktails, for free entry for the prospect of those things, and not actually receiving them. Um, he said, "Nope, give the intellectual topic." Okay, so the question was, it's not even really that intellectual, but basically the question was, I have a friend who has a how old is Olivia Gabriella. She's about to be 3, and she's been approached by Jack and Jill so that they can like join Jack and Jill and learn how to be an appropriate young lady in the world. And so she wanted to know what my thoughts were on Jack and Jill. Like, is that necessary at that age? And what I think is, I was not a Jack and Jiller. My family, as I understand it, we weren't invited until around the time my dad passed away. We'll unpack that another day. Um, I was like 11. My brother was 16. So I don't know what that's all about. But that also might be revisionist history. I'm not sure. But I was not a Jack and Jiller. I also grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I feel like if you live in like a city where there are lots of black children, I don't really see the need for Jack and Jill because you have so many people from your community with whom you can interact, even if they are of a different ilk. What's that about, right? It's like you can reinforce your own cultural identity that way. If you live in, let's say, Denver, Colorado, I think that there is a need for that space. Is there a need at 2 years old to be doing tea parties? Mm, I don't know. And then you get into the whole thing of like manners and respectability politics. Um, what is Jack and Jill? Oh, I probably should give that a like, so we're all having the same conversation. And if you are a Jack and Jiller, and if you are a Jack and Jill and I'm saying anything wrong about what the organization is, not my opinions, let me know. Jack and Jill is an organization that exists for black families, usually upper middle class, upperly mobile families. The kids come together, and it's basically a social club, like a sorority essentially for children to come together, and they do different things. They have conventions. It's not a sorority in the sense that the children pledge or anything like that, but families do have to be invited. It's not an open, as I understand it, is not, open enrollment. You don't just go and like, hey, I'm here for Jack and Jill. What time does it start? Um, and oh, it was founded in Philly, and that yeah, and so that's that. And it has a very strong history of being welcome, Patricia. Uh, it has a very strong history of being elite, maybe even elitist, and as my friend was saying, they have tea parties for 2 year olds and those kinds of things. I mean, I think the question becomes how important are manners in the traditional sense? In traditional sense, meaning like a tea party, a high tea, and how much of it is assimilating, and how much is it assimilation, and how much is it learning how to be appropriate? I don't know that I have the answer to that today. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I think some of it is assimilation, and some of it is like, we gotta learn how to be right so they can accept us. That's why we need to go to a tea party. And then some of it is we just want to have a tea party and be tea, bruv, in it. I don't think you'd say bruv in it was a tea party, but I maybe you get the drift. As for me and my house, there will be no children that are 2 years old, so I don't have to cross that bridge. But again, if I was in a community where there weren't a lot of black and brown people, black as African Americans or black Americans, I would absolutely put my child in Jack and Jill for that, just for the cultural reinforcement. But beyond that, I don't. To me, it doesn't really have a value thing. And shouldn't they be getting the manners part at home? Yeah, but I mean everything that you should be getting at home. But it's like, well, why you go to school? Shouldn't you be learning how to read at home? I think that there also exists external places to reinforce what you're learning at home, and to also create a space for shared learning with other children. And yes, 2 year olds have tea parties all the time, but I think the question was phrased in terms of tea parties not for like the fun of make believe and the fun of tea party, but the tea party for like, and now we are appropriate and beautiful, darling. Um, and Patricia, you live in Brooklyn, so you got black people, but you live in Bed-Stuy, so I don't know how much longer black people are gonna be there. Also, I don't know if y'all saw, but Airbnb is it's getting hot for them, and that brings me joy. Basically, Airbnb is not good for New York, and they need to get the fuck out of here. They also kick people off their site for no reason, so D's nuts. But apparently there just was a study that shows that they are using Airbnb is basically taking up a lot of affordable units and raising rents in neighborhoods like Brook. How much longer you gonna live in Brooklyn? Oh yeah, because you're going to Antigua or Anguilla or wherever, right? But they are, Airbnb is actually causing rent to go up. I know for a fact, I know a real life example where a person's rent went up $1,000 because the landlord was like, "Oh, I can make more money on this if I put on Airbnb. So if you want to stay, you're gonna have to pay this extra stag." Needless to say, he did not stay. Bed-Stuy is not white yet, Silas, but Bed-Stuy is rapidly gentrifying and evolving. I don't know if you can hear the sounds of construction above my head next door to me. They are, took a two-story house, and now a 2-unit home, and they are turning it into what I think is going to be 6 units at the price point that probably a lot of the people who lived there before wouldn't be able to afford. But I can give advice, Shanya, if you have a question, but but yeah, so Airbnb is taking the heat. My issue with Airbnb is that like it's a couple of things. One, I think that the whole idea that we bring commerce to a community that didn't have commerce before is actually rooted in, especially when a platform was created, it was rooted in like elitism. I'm not elitism, like a white supremacist ideal. It was this idea that like because we're bringing these mostly white people to your community, now it has value, and now it has commerce, and now it has all these things. When it's like the community actually very much was in process. Like, you didn't Christopher Columbus find something that wasn't existing. Maybe certain things needed to be improved, but how much of that was just because the city disregards it and it doesn't treat it well because people make a certain income bracket versus the people who actually live there. And then the thing too is, as businesses pop up, they start to cater to the Airbnbers, not the indigenous people. So, and there have been stories that publish this where people say, I can no longer afford to get ice cream in my neighborhood because it's for I can't afford to get ice cream in my neighborhood. So how is that actually helping me now that you put this fancy ice cream shop that I can't afford to shop at? Like, is that really for me? And then the other thing too is people live in neighborhoods because of the character of a neighborhood. Once you start putting hotels up and you have people coming in and out every day, that changes the fiber of it. It's one thing to be like, hey, that's my neighbor John. Sometimes his music is too loud. I know every morning he does this, that, the third. I can knock on John's door and be like, hey, John, it's me, William. Get it together. Now that I live next door to a hotel, I don't know who the fuck is in there. I don't know if they even speak English. They're going to say, oh, whatever, I'll deal with it. You just don't know what you're going to do. If I wanted to deal with that, I would have lived in a different community. So there's that issue. People want to have neighbors, and once we have a neighborhood, like that's part of what makes a neighborhood is not just cool restaurants and making timeout lists. It's about people having actual interactions and relationships with each other, which Airbnb completely degrades and destroys. And then the other part of it too is hotels have to pay tax. So why don't you have to pay tax if you're running a de facto hotel? Like, why are you beyond that? One. Two, hotels also have health codes they have to follow. Because why? Because MRSA. Because why? Because SARS. Because Zika. Because, even though you don't really get Zika from like dirty sheets. Because bed bugs. Because all these other things that you can get from like running a nasty shop. And so it's one thing if you really were just like, hey, I'm just going to rent out my house, dice roll, house swap. But since you're running a hotel, then guess what? The health inspector needs to be in here and be like, bitch, your bathtub is dirty. That tub is way too dirty. You need to wash it. Brat. You know what I mean? Like, so that is the thing. And then Jasmine said it is because rent is so expensive, so people started to rent out for a week to cover expenses. I think this might be a chicken and egg kind of thing, but I do think that rents have gone up, but people's rents when they moved into their apartment, most people's rent was whatever at the time it was something they could afford. And so they weren't putting on Airbnb because they couldn't cover their rent anymore. They were trying to make cash quick. And then that drove rents up at an exorbitantly fast rate. Not to mention, just all foreigners coming and buying properties and holding them. There's a lot that goes into this. And then what did Patricia say? My neighborhood might be gentrifying the slowest. My neighborhood's so hood, can't wait until it gentrifies. You are in the trap. But it's going to get there, especially because you're near the train. I won't put out exactly where you live, but it is a little trappy over there. But yeah, so my whole thing is the Airbnb, the block is real hot for them. I hope they get kicked out of New York. Like, to me, they're like Walmart. I don't rocks with them. I don't fuck with... So that's that. Full disclosure, I have used Airbnb. I use it for professional usage, and apparently that didn't rock with them. They kicked me off their site. They didn't tell me why. I still don't know to this day why. But that doesn't in any way impact it impacts my visceral hatred and vitriol for them, but it does not impact my intellectual belief that the site is bad for the city of New York. I don't think a city like New York needs Airbnb. I don't think that overall, I think it's great for Airbnb and Airbnb hosts who make money, but I don't think that it is particularly good for the city as a whole. And I think that I wish New York had more hostels. Like, that's something that we don't have. And I feel like that I can get into and get behind that more. But, yeah, that I can't get with. And hotels just have standards, but hotels also have health codes that they have to follow. Like, there's certain things, like they're regulated. That's the thing, is that Airbnb is like the wild, wild west. And the thing that I don't like about Airbnb and I don't like about Uber is that they sit on this premise. They sit on this premise that, like, we're changing the world because we're creating this sharing economy. And really what you're doing is deregulating the world. And it's not even a real sharing economy. You just are making yourself the middleman with no government oversight, right? So, like, that's another thing I don't like about Uber, is that Uber, now you broker all taxi conversations. Like I have to go, to get a taxi, I have to go through you versus the taxi commission. But if I get a driver who sucks ass or who's racist or who's whatever, there's no legal recourse for that. Whereas, or it's not as easy because I go through you, Uber, and you just do your whole thing. You just do whatever you're gonna do. Whereas before, I could be like, well, let me go file a complaint. Let me go file like lodge a complaint, and they'd be like, well, just give him 2 stars. And that whole star rating is arbitrary. I don't understand why riders are rated. I don't like that's this bad. It creates a really bad. It just creates something really sinister and bad. And then I also don't understand why Airbnb double taxes. Like, why are you charging both of us a service charge? I think one of us should shoulder that service charge, and that's that. Um, and yeah, no, and I agree, Beatrice, that this is not where Airbnb now is not where they started, but it's like, somebody waves $1 billion in front of your face, and I guess you start to make choices that are going to help you turn that 1 billion to 2 billion. But Jasmine, it's so much more than get what you pay for. Like it's not what I'm saying is not about because it's cheap. Because first of all, some Airbnbs are quite expensive depending on what the thing is, and Airbnbs, if you want what's what I'm saying? It's completely unregulated. There's so much racism on that site. There's so much there's so many issues with it. And Uber does have a standard, but what I'm saying is that standard is arbitrary because that standard is set by Uber. So that standard doesn't really have to, like the way a law is created, allegedly in this country, the way laws are created, that there's a certain supposed lack of bias. And while Uber obviously has to work within the confines of the law, at the end of the day, it's a private company. So they can be like, our standards are that he stinks and he does that. And if you don't like it, don't use Uber, and that's that. And so and the rating system is not great because 5 stars, I feel like if they want you to rate the person, they need to be clear about what I'm rating them on. Because what I don't like about, my live show would normally be regulated by the FCC. FCC these nuts, but I would be cable. I will be cable, boo boo. But which is still regulated by FCC. But what was I talking about? Uber with the rating. The problem is, one, what are you rating me for as a rider? Like, I feel like unless I do something that's completely egregious, like I throw up in your car, I punch you in the head, it doesn't matter what kind of rider I am. Because why do you need to, like, ooh, I don't know if I want to pick him up. Like, that's your job. That's your job, to drive people the fucking around. And people are going to be weird and drunk and just deal. And then the other thing is, what are you rating me on? Did you give me 5 stars because I'm cute? 1 star because I'm short? 1 star because I like to talk and you don't? That doesn't make me a bad rider or you a bad driver. It just means that we have different ways of communicating. I don't think you should be able to give, even as a rider, if a driver is talkative, that's annoying. But I don't think you should be able to give him 1 star or even downstar him for that. You know what I mean? Just be like, sir, can you not talk? And then if he still keeps going, then maybe it could be like, he's harassing me. But I just don't think that, it's really arbitrary. And they are starting the black Airbnb, but the problem with that is a few things. One, there's like 3 people trying to do it at once. Can y'all sit in a room together? Because it's like noir B&B, noir B&B, and then I think there's like something else. Can y'all get in a room together and figure this out? Because like sharing economy things are only as strong as the network and the economy that's being shared. Um, Uber is good for the black man. But I have a friend who at one point had to make her picture a white woman because the cars wouldn't come. So it's not that they always, you know what I mean? I think that I guess none of these things I'm sure ugly people get low ratings. But I don't none of these things is going to be perfect, but I just don't like, basically to me it's like a lot of these things are privatizing things that should be regulated by a government agency, and they need to just figure this shit out. Like, that's like Airbnb is not, it's not cute. I don't like it. I don't like it. Um, and I don't think the long term reverberation is going to be good. I feel like the spirit of it was good, which was that, like, ooh, if I want to go see Thailand, I don't have to just see it from a hotel. I can like be Thai for a week. But since you don't actually live in that apartment anymore, I'm not seeing Thailand. I'm staying in a freaking extended stay. You know what I mean? I'm staying in an extended stay. And I think that that's the problem is that like when I go, and like I said, I've used Airbnb quite a bit. So I've stayed in places that were very clearly purchased by the owner, the homeowner specifically for Airbnb. And when I stay there, it was like, this doesn't feel like I'm a New Yorker who's living in New York. Only thing I feel like I'm living in New York is when my ass was, pumping it in the snow 6 blocks to the train. But other than that, you design this like a timeshare, it's white walls with, cheap ass um, clip art paintings. And yeah, that's that. Are hostels regulated? As my understanding is that hostels are not allowed in New York City. But other places I've been, I think that they sometimes are regulated. I've been in some sketchy hostels. I've been in some nice hostels. But you know, I've been in some sketchy hotels. I've been in some nice hotels. But yeah, my understanding is that hostels are not allowed in New York City. I have to look into that. So it might have been her ratings. I don't know. Yo, you saying that the drivers can't see the pic? Uber says this was a while ago, so I'm sure at a point they couldn't see the pic because they used to look and be like, "You look different." Like, if they can't see the pics, what is the purpose of the picture? Just for me to feel like when I look at my own account that I can see myself. Um, you know what I mean? So I'll look more into the hostels thing because I can't imagine if hostels were allowed in New York or willy nilly, freely, that there wouldn't be way more. Not saying that there isn't one on 87th or that there aren't a few, but I wonder if they were grandfathered or I don't know. And I'm saying I don't know, but I thought I read somewhere that they weren't. And if they are allowed, I wonder why more people don't do them because people would be, up in the hostels deep. And I feel like there was a hostel by my house, even before Airbnb, but I'm not for certain. Yeah. So that's what we learned today. Let's just a little recap. What we learned today is that Istanbul needs your prayers. Um, you saying, wait, sorry, I'm looking at Patricia talking about purpose of the pic. You not a troll. I don't know. But if the driver can't see the picture, then there's no like who's looking at it? You see what I'm do you see what I'm saying? If the driver can't see the picture, then I'm the only one that can see the picture. Or you telling me somebody at like the corporate office or like some customer service rep is just looking at pictures? I don't understand. Um Earwax and shit on live TV, on live web TV. I love pimple popping. We'll talk about that another day though. Is that what you were talking about, Brett? But what we learned is prayers for Istanbul. We're trying to reach out to see if we can get a jihadist on here to try to help us understand. Maybe we could hug it out and change a mind, change a life. Um, Brazil is not ready for the Olympics, and just world get ready. I don't know what that's gonna be like. We also learned that Zika is real quick. If you get it, you should be fine. Just don't have a baby. BET Awards. We're trying to get tickets to the Sheila E on Ice tour. Um, we still don't like Jennifer Hudson, but she did sing well. Beyonce as Jesus with the Fringe was brilliant, and BET dropped the ball on Natalie Cole. And it's like, if we don't support our own, who will? Who will? Y'all so busy trying to get Prince right that you forgot all these other people been dying left and right. Um, and Jesse Williams is bae. He's the man. And I see what you're saying, but it's just a bunch of ways of verifying you're not a troll. Oh, I see what. Then we were talking about Airbnb and Uber, which I hate both of them. I don't use Airbnb. I do use Uber, but I hate both of them. I no longer use Airbnb. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, I know Brett. I know Dr. Pimple Popper. I know her, the Asian lady from San Francisco. I mean, from Southern California. She's from like San Diego. She's from Southern California. I know her. That's my friend. She is my friend. I am a doctor. Y'all also didn't know that I'm a doctor, but we'll talk more about that. We also spoke about Jack and Jill, and we also came to the agreement. Oh, Patricia, you missed this. That everybody's like $1 million, they would hold their spouse out. $110,000 in the parking lot, maybe not so much. So, as I mentioned before, the network is just trying something out. So we'll be back Friday at 10 a.m. If you have anything you want to talk to me about, excuse me, or want me to talk about, you can slide in the DMs. If you have my phone number, you can text me. If you don't have it, you're not gonna get it here. You can leave a comment on this post. If you weren't watching live, I do come back and read the comments. So if you didn't catch it live, watch it like it's new. Watch it like it's new. Drop it like it's hot. I thank you for watching and tell a friend. This is the best way to wake up. We have new things in store, and this will be a lot of fun. And talk to you later. What kind of music do y'all want me to do for my play out? Because I don't want to do Janet again. Or maybe, oh, this one. Remember this? Dark Child, yeah. Listen, girl, who do you think I am? Don't you know that he was my man? But I chose to let him go, so why do you act like I care about you? Dark Child, yeah. Who do you think I am? Don't you know that he was my man? But I chose to let him go, so why do you act like I care about you? Yeah, I did talk about Jesse Williams, Brett, sorry. Yeah. Oh, duh. Did you forget I had it first? Stop. Actually, I'm not done yet, because that's the beauty of, like, the network is a little lax. Is this the version I love? There's this one version where she sings her ass off. We got to talk about Birdman another day. Here we go. Sing it if you know it. This will be an everlasting love. This will be the one I waited for. This will be the first time anyone has loved me. Oh, I'm so glad you found me in time.